everyone, and welcome again to Get Celebritized. I'm your host, Aurea McGarry, where I bring you the most amazing, phenomenal people. Many of them are women that are breaking those glass ceilings, that are giving us hope that we can have it all. We can believe it all and break through glass ceilings. And today on this episode, I'm bringing to you a phenomenal, successful woman, Lisa Copeland. And we are going to talk about how to earn more, live more, so we can give back more. Let me tell you just a quick something about Lisa before I bring her up. Lisa Copeland is a nationally recognized real estate expert, host of the Emmy-nominated American Dream TV show, Selling Central Texas. Lisa has her pulse on today's real estate market. Lisa is the founder of Women Winning in Real Estate, Women Wire Inc. Lisa travels the country empowering women to close the wealth gap that exists between men and women. She's located close to Austin, Texas, and I love Texas. Texans are amazing. So let's bring on this this superstar woman who's going to shatter your limited thinking to help you think, work, and dream limitless. Let's go. Lisa, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Oh my gosh, what a wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that.
Well, you're wonderful, so it's easy to do.
Oh, thank you.
Lisa, I'm so honored that you are here today. I have been listening to you speak for several years now on the audio app Clubhouse, where I've met such phenomenal people. And you have always resonated with me because I love listening to powerful, extremely successful women that show up unapologetically. So I want you to tell us right off the bat who you are and what you do so they can get a feel for the wow factor that I know Lisa Copeland is and the trailblazer you are for women.
Well, thank you. Gosh, again, another wonderful introduction. I'm somebody who, I live large and I do what I love to do every single day. So, really where I started breaking glass ceilings was in the automotive industry. So in 2011, I had the opportunity to relaunch Fiat and Alfa Romeo to America. So not only was I the first dealer in the country, but I was the first female dealer in the country for that brand.
You just did it right, Lisa. I mean, Alfa Romeo, it's not just any old car. Look at you go. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. It was trying. It really showed me what I was made of, because it's not easy to bring a brand back that left the country the first time as Fix It Again, Tony.
Was your expertise in cars or in branding?
In sales.
Sales, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I had two dealerships in Austin, one at the Domain, high-end shopping center, which is where we launched Fiat back. And then we went out to Automotive Row and built a $40 million facility that was for Fiat and for Alfa Romeo at the time. And, it really, again, it showed me what I was made of. But my young team, primarily female, broke the world sales record in 2012. And it put us on a national stage. And I got invited by the chairman of the board of then Fiat Chrysler Automobiles, which was FCA, Sergio Marchioni, to serve on the National Dealer Council. And then again, I had to go back in and break some glass ceilings because I was the only woman on the board. And, it's very interesting. And there were so many times I could have quit. There were so many times I could have done something different. But I made the decision that if your purpose is big enough, if your why is big enough, you don't quit. Because my why and my purpose was to revolutionize the auto industry for women, minorities, and millennials. So on the days that I wanted to quit, I'm like, what would that do to this industry? I had so many people watching me from a national level, from an international level. And if I quit, that gives permission for everyone else to quit.
I love you're doing it for us all. You were there for us all women to do this. Yeah. So you knew it wasn't just about you. Mm-hmm. I talk a lot about Lisa to my communities about our little girl dreams. And of course, little boy dreams too. But I love talking about little girl dreams. Because now you're in real estate. So was your little girl dream car industry or real estate, or what was that little girl dream? No. You're like, no, something different.
I hope no little girl ever wants to be in the car business. My little girl dream is that I wanted to be a famous fashion designer. And so I went to the Fashion and Art Institute in Dallas that we had talked about just Aurora before we got on, and got to meet Mary Kay and some incredible things. Now, I never did anything in the fashion industry. I never had any real success.
Why not? If that was your dream, how did you get pivoted now over to here?
Well, I actually got in the car business in the beginning by accident. I had wrecked my car and I had not paid my car insurance. And my dad told me I had to figure it out. So this was in the 80s in Dallas, Texas. And so I got a job selling cars because back then you got a free car to drive.
Smart. Look at you. That's why I got into Mary Kay in the first place. I needed a free car. And so I got into Earn a Car. I mean, hey,
Yeah.
we are resourceful, aren't we?
You know, you like this story because I know you had the pink car. So the chairman of Fiat and Ferrari built me a pink car.
Oh, they did?
Yes, yeah, they did. And it sits in a car museum today in Las Vegas.
No kidding. Why did they build your pink car? You were the best sales?
Yeah, because we broke the world sales record, and so the sports car to the Fiat was the Abarth. And when he came to visit me and my team from Italy, he said, "What can I do for you?" And I was kidding. I'm like, "Well, I'd love to have a hot pink Abarth," and he did. He built it, and it's beautiful, and it sits in a car museum today.
I love that story.
It's one of a kind. It was painted by Lamborghini. It's pretty spectacular.
Why aren't you still driving that? You know, that is such a great accomplishment. That is such an honor. Again, you did it for all women, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So you've pivoted, you had a dream, you went into this resourcefulness. So now you're in the car industry. Are you loving it? Are you hating it? Give us some of the ins and outs. What did you learn from it before we go on to what you're doing now, which you seem to really love real estate?
I do love what I do now.
Yeah.
Did I love it? No.
Okay.
Did I feel challenging? Yes. Did I feel like I had a big purpose? I was playing a big game with, I was like a big girl sitting at the big boy table. So yeah, from that standpoint, it was very fulfilling. But I worked 6 days a week. I worked 12 hours a day. Mm-hmm. Running the dealership, hiring, being this national voice, not only for Fiat, but for women and all of automotive. And it was exhausting. And I think the thing I'm probably the saddest about, even though I think that we made a big splash, I don't think anything's changed for women in the automotive industry.
Oh, well, we're not done yet. You did make a dent. I mean, I can probably say that right. will always resonate. There's women that you don't know about that are probably looking to you in the automotive industry saying, looking at that, well, if she can, I can. Maybe they haven't done it yet,
I hope so.
But their goal is to. So
I hope so.
You always make a ripple, no matter what you do. You may not see it now, but
I hope so.
that ripple was made for sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So now you went from fashion, you went into this because of a reason, of resourcefulness. You had to get something done. So now how do you pivot into what you're doing now? Or did you go right from that to real estate?
A little bit. So I sold the dealership in 2016 and I was kind of deciding what I was going to do. I wrote a book. I co-authored a book called Crushing Mediocrity with my best friend, who's one of the top jet brokers in the world. She's very successful, Renee Bangelsdorf. I have got an agent in New York. I went out on speaking tours. I probably did 200 keynotes for Fortune 5s, Fortune 1s, where I traveled around the country. And particularly, I was hired by the VP of sales, which is when I go speak, that's typically what I'm hired for is the VP of sales, is how to help sales organizations get unstuck. So that is my superpower. That's where I say I can bring the most help to an organization is to help their sales organizations.
That's great, because that's a big pain, because I was in sales and I know that if you don't have sales, nothing. Like what Mary Kay used to always tell us, without sales, you have nothing. Until somebody sells something, there is no business.
That's it. And to this day, I still, I've got about 900 agents, real estate agents on my real estate team. And I tell them all the time, I'm like, get out of the office, quit eating donuts, quit making meetings, go sell something.
Sell something. That's where
the world stops if nothing is sold.
What do you think the difference is between a top salesperson and somebody that's struggling? Because people used to always tell me this all the time. Well, salespeople are born, not made. It's like, I beg to differ, because I learned everything about sales. I wasn't born to sell. But women, we're innately good at it, because we're innately good at sharing what we love. We're the first ones to tell our girlfriends about a great restaurant, a great movie. And we're the first ones to tell our girlfriends about, don't go to this doctor, don't go to this hairdresser. We tell the good and the bad. I think we're not, but we don't realize that's a sales skill.
It is a sales skill. And, you asked me, the difference between people that succeed and don't succeed. And I think it's the fact that you don't quit. The salespeople that I see that succeed, they don't quit. And to your point, I do not believe they're born. I believe they're built. And they're built by great leadership, and they're built by great training, and they're built by great resolve. and I don't think I've always been really good in sales. I've always been to the top of every one of my industries in sales, and it's not because I've got tricky closings or closing techniques, or I know the right thing to say, or that I'm slick. It's the fact that I take them on a journey, and I believe sales is a journey, and I really care about the outcome. See, I think the money comes if you satisfy your client. So whether it was in the auto industry and today it's in the real estate business, I know I'm going to get paid if a sale happens. But
Yeah.
I don't sell to get paid, because where the joy in my heart comes is when I see that family walk into that new house, or when we see people, like when we make dreams come true. So I think great salespeople have great intentions also.
And you're reminding me of something as well, because I'm seeing you light up. Hopefully everybody that's maybe listening to this on a podcast, go to the television show and watch Lisa's eyes light up. I can tell you love what you do. And I believe if you love what you do, you never work another day in your life. We've all heard that. But I feel like it's such an easy sale, should we say, because you truly believe in the outcome. You believe this is helping. You're not believing, hey, let me sell this snake oil, and then you hope they never find you again. It's like, no, the beauty of the house, that, the memories are about to be made. The car, when you sold the car, it was a good car, and these families are going to benefit from having this beautiful car take them from point A to point B, and it's going to be, reliable. So what are your thoughts on, if you really love what you're doing, learning some sales techniques to help it be better is just the icing. But if you love what you're offering, the pain you're solving, that the sales should be more simple, more easy, don't you think?
I do. And so if you're out there and you're selling something, or you're working for a company that you don't fundamentally believe in, or if you're selling a product that you would not put your own money behind, meaning if you're out selling a car that you wouldn't buy yourself, or if you're in real estate and you're selling in a neighborhood that you wouldn't buy yourself, or if you're in insurance and you're selling an insurance product that you're like, oh, that's no good, I wouldn't spend my whole you'll never be successful. You might make money, but you'll never be successful. So I've always been involved with products that I can personally get behind. Then I can tell the story. I can go on the journey. I can promote it. I can be the biggest raving fan. And you've got to be the raving fan of your product. And if you're not, you will never, ever reach heightened levels of success.
That's good. That's really good. You absolutely got to be your own best.
Just like when you were with Mary Kay. I'm sure you still use Mary Kay, and the skincare and the makeup and all of that. Like, you were your own product. Yep. Now, if you were not using your product and you were using
Clinique or something,
I mean, you're a fraud.
A hypocrite. Yeah, absolutely.
And especially women consumers, they can sniff out a fraud in a hot minute. They can.
We really can. We absolutely can. And it'd be like you rolling up into the Ferrari dealership in a Buick. I mean, you kind of, enjoy and use what you serve.
I believe that to my soul.
I do too. That's great. I'm glad you said that. It also reminds me of kids as well, because I deal with a lot of women who are moms, and kids do what we do, not what we say. I escaped domestic violence. And when I realized I needed to escape, my daughter was 4.5, 5. And I realized my actions by staying and showing her that is love was speaking louder than me ever to saying, grow up, get married to somebody who loves you. Well, I'm sitting, she's thinking this is love. Getting a black eye is love. So my actions, I could say all day long, trying to sell her on true love, sell her on a Prince Charming, somebody that's wonderful to you. But I'm sitting doing something the complete opposite. When I realized that is when I got my little bags and we ran away and escaped, because I needed to show her what that was.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I think we all just need to be brave to do that, to, live what we expect. On that note, Lisa, the world has been through this pandemic, and I think so many entrepreneurs especially have had to pivot or reinvent. And I love that in your beginning of this, you said, you didn't have the car insurance, you needed to do this, you went and got in the car business because there was a reason why, there was a pain you needed to solve, and you did it. It wasn't your dream, wasn't your little girl dream, but you made this happen. And then now you pivoted into real estate. That pivoting, that being resourcefulness to earn money, whether you need to do something that maybe wasn't your dream, but it works and you get really good at it, or to go into your little girl dream or your dream of this real estate. How are those pieces put together to make those pivots? How'd you pivot now from the car to real estate? And talk to us about if somebody's trying to reinvent themselves or try something new or make something better. What does that look like?
So the big reason I pivoted was I said I was speaking and I'd written books and I was consulting for big Fortune 1s, Fortune 5s. Then the pandemic hits. And my agent called me, we're canceled. And I was like, okay, what isn't canceled? So I started with that.
You're so smart.
Well,
I love that.
yeah, I mean,
I
and
need
for
car
me,
insurance. Let me go sell cars. What isn't canceled?
right, what isn't canceled? And so I'm in Texas, so we had a lot more freedom probably than most states. And so I looked for what essential jobs were that realistically that I would be interested in doing. And one of them was real estate. Now, I have a real estate background, a bit of one. I'm a real estate investor. And in between, before I bought the Fiat franchise, I own a mortgage company and my husband runs it. So,
Okay.
but I founded it. So I've got a big real estate background. And so in Texas, real estate and mortgages were considered an essential business. Our governor said we have to continue to buy and sell homes or our economy will crash.
Right.
So my husband said, "We'll come back to the mortgage company." I'm like, "Nope, already done that. Check." A friend of mine said, "Well, would you come back in the car business?" Because the car business was another essential. And I said, "Nope, check." And I just started looking around. So I got a call from a very good friend of mine. His name is Haas Pratt. And he said, it was just kind of off the cuff. It was so strange. It was, God, when was it? It was in 2020. It was like in March of 2020. And he said, "What are you doing now?" Like I hadn't talked to him in a couple years. And I said, "Well, that's funny you ask. I think I'm gonna sell real estate." And he goes, "Okay, I can't believe I called you." He said, "Do you know who Tarek El Moussa is from HGTV, the show Flip or Flop, Flipping 101?"
Yes, I know.
Yeah. And I said, "Yeah, of course I know who he is." And he said, "Well, he and I want to talk to you." I was like, "Okay, what do you want to talk about?" Like, I'm still not cluing in on this whole thing. And he said, anyway, so I went up to Dallas and it was funny because that was really like when the pandemic started and you weren't even supposed to leave your house unless you had an essential business. So I had Haas send me an email saying that we had an essential meeting just in case I got pulled over on I-35 going from my house to Dallas. It's about a 2.5-hour drive. And we went up there and we met and they said, "We want to build the largest real estate team in the country. And we know with your skill set in building large organizations, sales organizations, now you say you're getting into real estate. Do you want to work with us?" And I mean, I didn't even know what company it was. I said, yes. And that's the other thing, ladies and gents, that if you get an offer and your heart just goes, yes, then say yes. I just said yes. I literally called them on the way home and I said, "What company are we working for? Like, who are we doing this with?"
I love that.
And they were like, "EXP Realty. It's a publicly traded company. They're great, but at the end of the day, it's all about the three of us. We're going to go build empires." And so I said, "Okay, great. I just was curious, but I'm in." And that was 3.5 years ago, and I've been in ever since. And I love those guys, and I've been able to bring in major players into our organization like Grant and Elena Cardone, and Sharon Lecter, who was the co-author of Rich Dad Poor Dad. And Ari Lyondike, who's the Bachelor or was the Bachelor for 2 or 3 seasons. And I mean, are just the players that have played, and several people that used to work for me at Fiat, they're on my team. So I've been able to bring together the best of everything I think I've ever done and lump it all into this real estate thing. And it's just been like no regrets.
I love, Lisa, that this is one of the hashtags, the bullet points I hope people get. Just say yes. But in that caveat, you remind me where I talk about so much that if you're in your wheelhouse, because most of us have lots of different things in our wheelhouse. You had the sales, which encompasses, you could have done anything, but your husband's in mortgage broking, you had done real estate. So you're in your familiar zone, which is kind of like what happened to me when I started my TV show. I used to be an actress, do soap operas from New York City. It's in my wheelhouse. It wasn't like when I pivoted to do my own show that I was going to be a brain surgeon. Or for me, going to something I had no clue, which is nothing wrong with that. You want to learn something completely new, go for it. Hey, why not? But when you've got that background, you've got that gift, that skill set that's not unfamiliar, and you get an opportunity and somebody comes to you like what happened to you, Lisa, and then you just say yes. You found out details later. So I love that because you knew it was your wheelhouse. They weren't asking you to jump out of a plane.
I'd known Haas. I did not know Tarek before, but I liked them. I trusted them. And I liked what their big purpose was. Like, none of us did this because we needed our next paycheck. Right. We did it because we wanted to build something phenomenal. And just like when I called Grant Cardone about it, because I'd known Grant from the car business. And Grant was like, nah.
How did you know Grant from the car business? Was he a client? Was he a partner?
Yeah, he used to call on me. Grant used to walk into my car dealership and try to sell me training.
I
This
love
is
it.
this is back in the old days. This is not like when he's got 200 salespeople flying in on his
Right.
Gulfstream.
The
And so I like to
grassroots
say,
times. I love it.
he did, yeah,
Everybody
and he was
has
a
them
man.
too, because
Yeah.
people look at Grant Cardone as up here, and he is, but he started like everybody else,
Oh,
walking
hardest
in.
working guy on planet Earth.
Looks like it.
Absolutely. I have so many Grant stories. And the thing that I will stand up and fight for him, because people think that, that like all this was handed to him. That man would fly in on like American Airlines and walk into my car dealership selling stuff.
Look at
This
him
was
go.
this was in 2011. So, he's self-made. And that's like, that to me is one of the most perfect stories. I tell this story all the time. Like, the guy used to call on car dealerships, but he got very wealthy in real estate, but he always did the work. And he's a billionaire and he's still doing the work today.
Mhm.
Right. So the
Yeah.
work never ends, folks. Like, when you make the decision that you want to have massive success or make a massive impact on the planet with your product and services, or just yourself, like, the work never ends. It isn't like you get to go, okay, here's success.
I've arrived. Right.
Fun, I get to sit home. Grant doesn't sit home.
Yeah.
Elena's one of my best friends. I talk to them all the time, 5 times a week. And like, what do you guys do? Well, we're heading here and we're doing this. We're speaking at this. We're having that. Blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, oh my God, like, they don't stop. But see, success never
Well,
sleeps.
Well, do you feel, because I think Grant Cardone and Elena, they've got these beautiful children. I've seen
Yeah.
their daughters in some of the videos. They're family people as well.
Yeah.
So don't you feel that when you're loving what you do, and even if you make your family part of it, like Elena and Grant work together, and they're showing their children how to build an empire. They're showing that even when they're working, they still could be there with their families, take their families on
They
trips.
do.
So
They
how
take
do
the
you,
girls
yeah,
everywhere.
exactly. So do you feel, because they love what they do, they've already done the grunt work, which is always needed. Now, even though they're working all the time, don't you feel they're you can tell us, enjoying the journey now
They love it.
together?
No,
Yes.
they love
It's
the
not
journey.
like a grind anymore.
No,
It's
no.
work, but it's together.
Yeah,
and
no,
they're
it isn't
reaping
a
the
grind.
benefits.
Yeah, because I mean, they've already built generational wealth.
Yes.
So it's not a grind anymore. And it's not. And now the girls are going. And of course, I know both of the girls.
They're so
And
cute. Oh my God. Just
but they're
beautiful.
amazing. And especially, I mean, they're both amazing. But Sabrina, I was on Grant's show, Real Estate King. And so Sabrina came and she was in the boardroom. Like, she was part of like the decision-making process when we were all pitching Grant for the show. And Sabrina's tough. I mean, she just turned 14, but she's just like, don't disappoint me. I'm like, oh my God.
I love it. Again, they're learning what we do, not what we say. They're totally learning from their parents how to live an extraordinary life, because they're doing it.
Yeah, they
And
are.
you get it.
Young ladies.
And again, building up the girls, building up the women that are going to break these ceilings.
That's Elena's absolute passion.
God bless her.
And Grant supports it also.
Such good parents and such good people. I watch them all the time, and I've known Grant. I've seen Grant, been in rooms with them on Clubhouse and everything. That's where I got to know him, was on, kept coming to his room in Clubhouse, and the waters part when Grant comes in the room, bring him up, give him the microphone. I'm like, who is this Grant? And I've gotten to know who he is over these last 2 years because of that, and look him up and watch the videos. And I saw him with his daughter, and I'm such a girl power person. And I love to give our next generation of girls that empowerment that they deserve, that they don't have to struggle. They don't have to take less. It's just, the world is their oyster. And I think that next generation, my daughters, do you have daughters?
I have one daughter.
One daughter, good. And then Grant's got daughters. I love the boys too, but boys always knew they can do what they want. It's the girls that I want them to see from what we do. So, all right. So now you're in real estate. I think this is fantastic. Talk to some of the audience about being in real estate and about building that generational wealth. Do people have to go and get a real estate license? Like we hear a lot, anybody can do real estate. Can they? Can they not? Talk to us a little bit about the real estate wealth that we keep hearing so much about.
Well, it's not for sissies nowadays, with interest rates being at an all-time high. The last 2 years, things have just deteriorated so much. But so right now, rates are 2.5 times what they were.
Are they going to go back down? Is it something to wait it out?
Probably in 2 years.
2 years. Okay.
That's probably what's going to have to happen. So yes, and there are people that are having to wait it out, to answer your question. So I don't know, now's the greatest time to jump into real estate, but it's a great time to buy real estate because assets are on sale. right? So because the money's high, but that's only a temporary problem. So you could still go in, pay a higher interest rate now, knowing in a couple of years when things change on a national level, hopefully, that then at that point, then, rates will come back down into, the 3% and 4% mark.
And
So
you can refinance. So if somebody's trying to buy a home, for
yeah,
example, they should still buy now, but they can
yeah,
refinance later.
because the asset's on sale, and the asset is the property, right? So you have assets and you have debt. Your debt is your loan, and your asset is what is your value. So the debt's temporary. I mean, you could refinance a house 10 times if you want to.
Okay, good to know.
Expensive, but you can do it.
Oh, it is expensive. So for the average homeowner that wants to buy a home right now, what would you say to them that if they just want to buy a home, it's not for real estate purposes as far as rentals, so they're thinking about changing and getting a new home right now, wherever they are, whether it's Georgia or Texas, should they wait it out if it's not immediate, or should they go ahead and get it?
No, they should go ahead and get it, because as interest rates go up, home prices go down. As interest rates come down, home prices go up. So now's the time to secure the asset, suck it up for a year or two, make a little bit higher payment, and then once rates go down, then just go ahead and refinance it. And so then you've bought it on sale.
Okay, I love that. What about selling the house? So now if somebody has to sell the house before they can buy the house, how does that work?
Well, it's, homes are still selling at a pretty good clip, but, you're not going to get pandemic pricing for your home. But that was a bit of a false bubble. I luckily sold my house during the pandemic because, I knew I was watching the bubble. So I kind of sold it right here, and I thought, there's no way it could go a dime higher than that. And within 6 months, it just started doing this again.
Oh, gosh.
Right. So, so it's working with a real estate agent that understands the marketplace, understands the economy, understands what's going on.
Got it. So let me ask you this, Lisa. You're such an impactful woman. You're so smart and in business and in sales. You go around the world and you help corporations. You're a keynote speaker. Talk to us about if somebody's listening and watching the show right now and they're really being impressed by you, which they should be, and they want to tap in. What do you do or do you work with the average entrepreneur, small business owner to help them scale their business, sell more? Do you work with them that way? Talk to us about.
Yeah, no, thank you. I used to.
You're like, no, thank you.
No, I used to, but I don't anymore. I would, anybody who's in that space and is looking for that, I refer everybody over. Grant's got a company called Cardone Ventures, and that's what they do, is that they scale businesses. And I have sent them, I don't know, God, probably 50 different companies, people that have come to me, and that's what they do all day long, twice on Sunday, is they build these businesses, they scale them, and then they help sometimes even relaunch them.
Okay. So as a woman in business and pivoting and being so successful, what is your advice for the female business entrepreneur? She's not a big company, but she's a business owner, maybe 2 or 3, independent contractors helping her out, maybe a VA or 2, but they're still trying to reach that first 6-figure, maybe higher 6-figure level. What's your advice for her, especially to take herself to the next level, to get that bigger piece of the pie for herself? What are some of the things that you did to launch your success a little bit bigger and then kept on growing, no matter what career they're in?
No, I think that is such a great question. And I just told you guys my real estate story, right? So we are better together. So what did I do? I went out and I collaborated. So collaboration is the new currency. Just know that. You've got to collaborate. So what did I do? The minute that I was like, okay, I'm going into a new industry, I'm going into real estate. And then I had the opportunity to collaborate with the biggest television star in real estate, Tariq El Moussa. I had the ability to collaborate with Grant and Elena Cardone, right? So immediately, because of my collaborations, I went from one agent to 900. I say immediately, it's been 3 years and a lot of work, but 900 agents, right? And so I'm able to leverage their success on some of the big deals I try to put together, because I say, well, here's who my business partners are, and they're like, oh, okay, you must be good. So I tell that story to say, who in your industry can you collaborate with? Empires were not built. There's not one empire that has ever been built by one person. Okay. Amen. Empires take people and collaboration, but you've got to be very careful when you're building your empire, because they're also destroyed from the inside. So there's never been an empire destroyed from the outside. Okay. It's always an inside job. Just know that. And so
that's good. That's really profound to say that.
It is. And so be careful who you collaborate with. They've got to be like-minded. Like my partners, we are like-minded on everything outside of business. we are like-minded, right? In what we believe, what we stand for, what we do, da, 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 da. And that's why we stick like glue, so that when sometimes if we get sideways about something, we always go back to our core values. But wait a minute, we all believe in this, right? And so be careful who you collaborate with. But if you can find somebody who fundamentally believes what you believe, is willing to take a stand where you're willing to, because in business today, you got to be ready to take a stand.
Yeah.
You stand for something, you fall for anything, and you can see where, businesses are getting hurt right now. And so, you just want to be really, really careful about who you collaborate with, but try to collaborate with somebody who's more successful than you are. That's what I did in real estate. I went after the billionaire and the TV star.
Especially if you're a hard worker, because you're thinking, well, why would somebody more successful need me? But if you come in, with your elbow grease, willing to
That's what I did.
And support and be that hard worker that do the grunt work to start, then absolutely, it's not all about cash money when it comes to collaboration. I'm so glad you're saying collaboration. I've been doing that since the pandemic, because I learned that skill set on Clubhouse about how we all started collaborating, getting to know each other, the Mom Link and Breakfast with Champions. And I learned, this works. Because before I was that more shy person, say, well, why would Grant want to know me, or why would Lisa want to know me? And even if I don't look at all my awards and all that I've done, like, well, they're so far ahead in the millions and billions, but they don't realize they look at other talents, other things that you have to bring yourself to the table, because we all have gifts and talents.
Oh, I mean, collaboration, y'all, it's the key. If someone were to say to me, if you could take one thing, the one rule of success, and there's lots of rules of success, hard work, don't give up, blah, 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 education, all of that. But if I could only pick one, it'd be collaboration. Anytime I've collaborated, I have gone 10x immediately, right? And so now all of a sudden, I remember after I collaborated with the Cardones, and Grant had a running joke. He's like, well, you wouldn't buy my training back then. And I go, okay, but we're working together now, right? And so anyways, but collaboration, y'all. You gotta find the people you trust and build an empire.
You're so authentic and you're so being real now, and you're giving us your goods, which is so great. So I'm going to ask you this question. All right. The women are listening and they're watching. Okay, collaborate. They're probably thinking of somebody they'd love to collaborate with. How did you go? Let's use Grant Cardone as example. He was trying to sell you for years and years. Now, all of a sudden, you want to collaborate with him or his wife, Elena. Yep. How did you start that conversation? Did you pick up the phone, or what is your advice if somebody has somebody like a Grant in their life, in their industry, and they want to make that first connection? What do you do? What do you say?
You have to call them. And I called him. It wasn't a text. I mean, y'all, text.
What if you don't know the number? How do you find the number? Let's get it right down.
You have to find it. I mean, I actually had his number because I knew him.
Okay.
So I brought him on my Clubhouse show a couple times. I had a big show on Breakfast with Champions, and back then, like, my show was like 800 people in the mornings. It was crazy. So
I was there. I was one of them.
So I would bring Grant on, and I would really prop him up, tell his story, ask his advice, and I wasn't doing it to suck up. And honestly, when I started doing it, I didn't even do it to get him into real estate. It's just that I felt like my audience needed to hear his story. I mean, I've always had mad respect for the guy, just complete mad respect, and his work ethic. And so, and I know that his stuff works because I've seen it work time and time and time again for companies. So there was all of that. So I started with that, right? So how do you bring that person into your atmosphere? Right? How do you bring them in? Start following them, start commenting on their stuff, follow them on Twitter. If they're in Clubhouse or they're on Twitter Spaces, start following, try to get up on a stage with them, send them messages, like not weird stalkery messages.
Right. Strategic stalking.
I'm like, hey, I heard you on Clubhouse this morning and you said X, and boy, that really resonated with me. Thank you. Boom, be done. Don't get weird about it. So that's kind of how you start to begin that relationship. Then you start, and again, you probably want to find someone in your own industry. So if you can't get to them, find out who else knows them. And maybe you get to those people, and maybe those people can make an introduction for you. So, it's not easy. I mean, again, I had the advantage of knowing Grant. I had his cell phone number. We knew each other from the car business. I ran into him several times over the years. We were friendly. So, I had an upper hand, but I got to tell you, even Grant, it's not hard to get his cell phone number. You have a couple of people. You're probably only 2 degrees away from getting Grant's cell phone number. He's pretty generous.
Right. And so then what did you say? Well, did you already have the idea of how you wanted to collaborate with him? Or did you get on the phone with kind of like, hey, I know I want to do something? What was like that phone call like?
No. With a guy like Grant Cardone, you have about 2 minutes
Okay.
and you have about 30 seconds to grab his attention. And so when I called him, I said, Grant, I've got an incredible opportunity and it's in real estate. And I think it's something that you'd be interested in. He's like, oh, I'm interested. Tell me more, And I said, well, you've got millions of followers. And I said, I call your followers the Church of Cardone, because when Grant says jump, people say how high. And his followers are very loyal to him. And I said, I've got an opportunity in real estate. He's like, oh, no. That sounds like too much work. I can't scale it, this, that, and the other. I was like, all right. So I let it go. I brought him back onto Clubhouse a couple more times. I was so mad at him this one time. I called him. I'm like, Grant, I wasn't going to let it go, because in my soul, I knew that Grant had millions of real estate agents that followed him. And the whole premise behind our company is to bring in real estate agents. Right. And so I knew he had the audience. I just had to get his buy-in on the product. And so I was like, okay, I'm not piercing him. For whatever reason, he's not doing it. So what did I do? I went to the chairman of the board of my company. Now, we're a publicly traded company, 90,000 agents. We're worth, I think our market cap rate's like 4 billion. Like, we're a big deal, right?
Yeah, you are.
Yeah. And so I called him, I got an appointment with him, and I said, do you know who Grant Cardone is? And he goes, I don't. And I said, I want you to check him out. I said, he's a friend of mine, and I want to bring him in to the company. And he was like, he checked him out. My chairman's name is Glenn Sanford. And he called me back and he's like, well, that guy's pretty impressive, because, Grant's a billionaire and so is Glenn Sanford. I said, well, there's only 2,000 billionaires on the planet, and you and him are 2 of them. So you guys should at least know each other.
You're in the club. Okay.
Yeah. So then I called Grant back and I said, Grant, I want to set up a meeting with, and he's like, Lisa. And I said, Grant, with the chairman of the board of EXP World Holdings, who is also a billionaire, and we have a market cap rate of about $5 billion. He wants to meet you. And Grant's like, okay, I'll take the meeting. Right. So sometimes you have to step out of your own deal. Mm-hmm. And I had to put the 2 Goliaths together.
So smart.
Yeah. And so, they scheduled a meeting, and Glenn Sanford called me and he said, well, hey, be sure to schedule it where you can be on the meeting. And I said, I'm not going to be on the meeting. I told Grant that he had a meeting with the chairman of the board of EXP World Holdings. And I said, you know what to do, Glenn, and I need to let you and Grant have that time. And later I told Grant my strategy, and Grant said, that was very smart of you. He's like, I wouldn't have wanted you on that meeting. I said, Grant, you don't think I know that? I know that. I get it. Like, we laugh about it, right? Because I worked him. So in that meeting, Grant was driving down the road, and he does everything on speaker, and Elena happened to be in the car. And so they were having the meeting, Sanford and Cardone, in the car on Grant's speaker. And Elena's hearing the whole thing. And so Elena looked over at Grant. She goes, so all I need to do is get a real estate license? Because I'm interested. This sounds so interesting to me. And Glenn Sanford said, yeah, Elena, that would be great. And so Elena texted me the next day, and she said, where do I need to go to get a real estate license? I'm going to do this deal. And the rest
Leave it to the women. Leave it to the women.
Right? Because she had it in her head that she wants to help people build empires. And she knew in real estate she could do it. So she could sit at the top and she could help. This was a vehicle for her to build out her dream during the pandemic, which was to help people build empires. So, I mean, guys,
did she do it?
Did she do it? Yeah.
Oh, look at her go.
Oh, yeah. Elena's been on my team for almost since I've been there, 2.5 years.
I love it.
And so anyways, so you never know who's listening, right? So here are my takeaways from this.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to pull yourself out of your own deal. Like, I could not close Grant. Okay. He loves it when I have to say that out loud. I could not close him. I could not even get his attention on this deal. We were friends. He'd come in my clubhouse, all the above, but he just was that.
That's good to know. Don't give up.
Yeah. Don't give up. Bring in somebody bigger than you. which you have to look at who your audience is. So I'm dealing with one Titan. So you have to bring in another Titan, billionaire to billionaire. I knew that I would at least get Grant's attention, which we did.
Yeah.
Then you have to let the process play out a little bit, meaning I was not going to get involved with that phone call because I didn't need to. Like, it needed to play out. And then 4th piece was luck. Lucky that Elena was sitting in the car when the whole deal went down.
Mind purpose. Look at that go. And something else you said, Lisa, that I want people to know, too many times you could be on a roll onto something needs to be done, and people quit too soon. Like, well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. I hear that so much. Well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. You
3
have to
feet
go
from
further.
gold. My dear friend Sharon Lecter wrote the book with Napoleon Hill Foundation, 3 feet from gold. Like
3
you get
feet from gold.
97% there. You are there. And then it's like, it gets hard, it gets tough, or there's a pivot, or you're not
An
breaking
obstacle.
through. And then all of a sudden, and then you're like, okay, I'm done.
You
And
can't
so
be.
like
Either
I could
way.
have been done with Grant after he told me no like 5 times and told me I was
Right.
crazy and stop. Just call me for anything else, but I don't want to hear about this anymore.
And it goes back to Lisa, where you said, when you really believe in the service you're providing, it wasn't like you were trying to sell him something for a quick sale. You knew that those real estate agents would benefit from being partnered with you. There'll be a win-win situation. You knew with every fiber of your being, everybody would win bigger. So it wasn't the sleazy snake oil. Oh, I want to get this sale. I know. It was completely the authentic, right thing to do, that you just had to get the idea through the head of the person to make the decision. And all those things happened, and you didn't give up, and you went. What I love to tell the women especially, go over, under, around, or through, when you know in your heart that this is a win-win for all, that this is a service that everybody will win. It's not about you. It's not about the dollar at the sale. It's about everybody will rise higher and further if we all come together. But you just have to get that elevator pitch in the right way. And for you to step out of that is just mind-boggling that you did that. How brilliant for you to say, hey, these two guys need to talk to each other. And as a woman, for you to know when to not try to break down that ceiling, that you're breaking it down, but being smart like women are. We're very resourceful to know, okay, guys, I love my Big Fat Greek Wedding movie, because it's all about the wife letting the husband know that it's his idea. But they're all run by us. But we have to let the guy know, let him think it's their idea, right? So you did that. That's so great.
Well, and honestly, like Grant and I talk about it all the time. And he told me, he's like, you made the best move like you nailed that move, the way you did it, the way you did not get into the conversation, the way that I said, look, I just brought the other type to the table. And he said it was going to take a Glenn to shift my thinking. Okay, cool. But at the end of the day, I win because Elena Cardone's on my team.
I love you. All win. I mean, what a great win-win. Everybody involved. All the real estate agents and I work with you win. The pandemic was tough for so many people, but you made it not tough for so many people being in that real estate industry. You learned you pivot. And right now you're on this show and you're going to help so many more people believe in their dreams, believe in their pivot, believe in what they have inside them to say, hey, I'm not going to give up. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. You're just so impressive in that way for men and women to listen to you and what you've done and how you really broke through every obstacle. And you're not done yet. And on that note of not being done, Lisa, I love helping people with their legacy. I had Live Your Legacy TV, which is what won my awards. I had Live Your Legacy Summits, helping people earn more and live more so we can give back to charities. So I want to ask you 2 closing questions as we wrap up this phenomenal conversation with you, Lisa. One, I just want to give this shout out in the limelight. I promised God when they took out my vocal cord and told me I'd never speak again after my cancer battle in 1999, that would be impossible. I promised God that I would be the voice for good news, good people, and nonprofits to let them get the limelight they deserve. So what is your favorite charity causes? I want to give them a shout out, let people know what matters to you, Lisa Copeland. And then what is your legacy? What do you hope people remember you for?
Oh my God. Thank you. I'm on the board of a nonprofit called We Are Not Broken. And it's all about women and scars and the fact that your scar is not something you should be ashamed of. It's really the story that you tell. So wearenotbroken.org is my favorite charity right now. I've been the head of the American Heart Association. I've been on the YMCA board. I've served on many, many boards, but this one is really, really close to me is scarring. So there's that, and that scar doesn't define you. It really becomes your story. And my legacy is that I hope that people will do more and they will give more like you, and that they will be more impactful for knowing me. So that's my legacy.
They absolutely will. Lisa, thank you so much for being on the show. You're absolutely delight, inspiration. I'd love to have you back again, see where you are a year from now, and keep on inspiring and helping our next generation and this generation right now that's trying to still maybe find their footing after what was the global shutdown doesn't have to shut them down. It is time to rise back up. And so thank you so much for being here, Lisa. So appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, y'all. Thank you for being here on the show on Get Celebritized. Well, we hope you learned some golden nuggets, some ways to go over, under, around, or through any obstacle that's trying to stop you so you can earn more. You can live more, live bigger, live on purpose, live the greatest legacy you're meant to live so you can give back more because there's always people that need you to be successful because their opportunities are not there, whether they're in a third world country or whether they're your neighbor next door. They cannot make their ends meet. So make the ends meet for them so you can give back. Thank you so much. My honor and privilege to be here on Get Celebritized. Until next time, have a great day. Bye for now.